Hello and welcome to the Horror Cinemas Podcast. I'm Joe, here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
Today we're going to discuss Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park. What can be said about this movie? This is basically the 90s Frankenstein movie.
Yeah.
Because there was no legitimate Frankenstein movie made in that era, in that decade. There were a few attempted, but they all sucked. This one was good, and it did not involve Frankenstein and his monster pulling on the arms of, the Frankenstein's wife, which, the bride of Frankenstein. Which,
make a wish on the wishbone.
Yeah. But the story is, everybody knows this, the movie story. The novel story is a bit more complicated, but we're not going to review that right now. The movie pretty much starts off with, the shoot it! Shoot her! thing. It moves on to the lawyer and the one archaeologist, and to Alan and Ellie Sadler. They meet Hammond. Then Ian Malcolm. Then, they fly to Jurassic Park. They realize how much of a shit show things are and how bad everything is. Because, Hammond is like, how does Ian describe him? He's like a kid who's found his dad's handgun. And, that point is hammered home in the discussion scene over dinner after they witnessed the raptors tear apart a bull. And after that, the park fails. Dennis and Andrew having taken bribes from, I think it's Biogen. I can't remember. It's been a while since I read the book. The book goes into more detail on a lot of this stuff. And we then have the survival part. The movie ends, with a glorious roar. Alan fleeing and withdrawing his approval for the park. And Hammond leaves brokenhearted. Good. I'm just saying, good. And Ellie looks on in hope at Alan, who's holding the two kids, as the two have hope for their married life. Since he originally didn't want kids, now he wants them, so, they're going to have kids, I guess. And poor Ian Malcolm, having been proven right, had half his leg, a portion of his leg chewed off. Because Hammond is an idiot. What do you expect? You can't expect much brains from John Hammond. He shares a name with the first Human Torch. I'm kidding. I couldn't resist. But, and 1 out of 2 Human Torches has proven to be a moron. Yeah, the new one was more moronic than the 40s one. I'm joking. The 40s one was actually smart.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed this viewing was that Hammond is dressed in white, Malcolm dressed in black. Now, in Asia, white is a funeral color. It means death. And black is not a color of death. Whereas in the West, it's reversed. Death is associated with black, and white is purity. So one could see it as Hammond's pure and innocent in a way, but he's dressed for a funeral. Ian Malcolm is dressed for a funeral. And I know he's supposed to be almost a gothic guy, but it fits. Heck, Ian kind of plays the role of Paul to a limited extent, just in that he's the one saying, this is a bad idea. Bad idea. I have a bad feeling about this. And Hammond and Dr. Wu are essentially Victor Frankenstein. And Paul, I guess, the other half of the time going, oh, come on, what can go wrong? I know people consider Nedry a bigger moron than Hammond, but I can't help but think reverse. Nedry just didn't care. But look at it this way. Hammond cared, and he still cocked it all up. Sam Jackson is glorious in this movie as the manager, who has to try and rein in half of Hammond's crap, and all of Dennis Nedgery's crap. But he gets himself chewed up to pieces off screen, because at the time Sam Jackson was not yet a meme, so he could have taken all three Raptors, and you can't. There wouldn't be much of a movie if he kicked their asses with his bare hands and tore them apart in that age. Nowadays, I would give 2 seconds before the Raptors rip him to shreds. Heck, his Fury would probably get ripped to shreds by those Raptors under a second. I have to bash modern movies and all the actors in them. Look at it this way: Colin Firth. I love that actor. I can't take him as seriously as I used to. There's a lot of actors I'm like, yeah, no. Hell, Rachel Weisz, the actress from The Mummy of Evie, I don't take her seriously at all anymore. She's become a meme as well to an extent. So a lot of those big actors in the 90s and early 2000s can't take them seriously. But anyways, we can take Hammond's actor seriously and Sam Neill, because they've never leased out their brains to alien brain suckers or something. I don't know, some of these people. But the thing is, I actually have to admit, as a kid, what's funny is that some parts of the survival part, like with the Brachiosaurus and the lead up to the T-Rex's hunt, I was bored by. Weirdly, I actually thought the dinner scene was really interesting. Even as a kid, like 6 years old, I was like, this is pretty damn interesting. And I know people constantly say, well, as a kid, I didn't understand this scene. I actually did. I'm not trying to brag. It's just, I actually understood what they were arguing. Is it right for the dinosaurs to be alive? That's basically the gist of it. Was this a good idea or not? As a kid, I kind of saw it as, I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, nah, it was a stupid idea. Well, actually, as a kid, I was like, I don't know. Then I see the next few scenes and I go, that was stupid of them to revive dinosaurs. So, yeah, like,
and the fact that
but I wish they brought in Ian Malcolm, basically how he ends up completely destroying the climate alarmist argument, because he uses data and he actually argues, let's look at the past 2,000 years of history and archaeological data and whatnot with the climate, and let's study Antarctica in detail and actually think about what's happening and what people were saying as far back as the 60s. Let's look at all this information, compile it, and then we can make an educated statement. Just saying, like, I'm not trying to fall on one side or the other, but, well, Michael Crichton did a great job destroying the argument. But the thing is, I wish that scene was brought in, but, Spielberg. Of course, Spielberg would not have a fun, entertaining scene in there. He had a lot of fun, entertaining scenes, but he also took quite a few of them out from Jurassic Park. And Lost World would have been a perfect movie had it almost been I really like the Lost World we got, but it would have been far better and perfect had he just taken the actual novel and adapted it to the big screen, particularly near the end. But anyways, this movie was fun. I love this movie. Spielberg and Crichton are both on point. This was perfect.
You have
near perfect.
Ian, that from the beginning said this is a bad idea.
And what's interesting is that by the end, he seems the most traumatized.
Yeah.
It's interesting that the kids are far more mentally and emotionally stalwart than some of the adults. Ellie is at one point totally addicted to having dinosaurs around. But then when Alan is basically all but reported KIA, she goes, wait, this was dumb on all our parts. Alan is initially moved and awed and pleased. But once he sees the raptors, he goes, uh-oh. And of course you have the hunter. I always forget his freaking name, even after reading the book sometimes. the hunter's just like, what are you guys, stupid? The raptors must be destroyed. Frankenstein must be destroyed. But the thing is, like, he's right. Like you said, these things are as fast as cheetahs. 60 to 70 miles per hour. They hunt like wolves. Except they're eating you while you're still alive. And they have problem-solving skills, like wolves. Hello!
Oh, we engineered them with frog DNA to be all female. And
Well, except for the raptors. They bred 2 of them to be male. Well, of the 8, they bred a lot of them to be male, then 1 female. And she slaughtered most of them and kept 2 of them as her simps. Like, no wonder, sorry, my thoughts were, somebody's got to slap Hammond.
And the fact that it was either...
We spared no expenses.
It was either Ian or Alan that, when he brought that up, it's like some frogs in a single gender environment.
That's later in the movie. But Ian just simply says, no, nature will find a way, trust me. You've botched it somewhere along the line. Not just every other point, but you've botched the gender thing already, I can tell. You guys are not taking as close an eye to the animals as you should be. And he's right. Because he's just simply said, like, you're not no, you're not doing this right. And you actually look at how stupid Dr. Wu is, and he is really stupid. Yeah. And I know people might say, well, it takes a lot of brains to do what he did, to genetically clone the dinosaurs and whatnot. He's still an idiot. He's still an empty-headed moron. And no, wait, let's use Shumai's word from Dinosaur Warrior 7. He's still an imbecile. Because, well, he actually did this. Like, I'm sorry, but no one but an imbecile would do this.
Mm-hmm.
They're too busy asking themselves if they could. They never thought if they should. Because here's the problem with these scientists. They're imbeciles because they never thought 5 steps ahead in terms of the consequences. Like, okay, I do this. Then what happens? And in the novel, Dr. Wu gets eaten because, well, even when the dinos escape, does he actually think about the consequences after they escape? No. He's like, oh, well, Ellie and the hunter and whatnot will deal with the problem. I'm just going to go outside and kind of scream, but he's also like, I'm going to kind of want to go study them. Then, they're trying to eat him, and he's like, I'm going to look at it from a distance to see if, just to study them a little. Like, moron! But here's the scary thing. There's a lot of guys in business, in government, and whatnot, who are total imbeciles like this. Why is it that it's always people in power and with money that are so stupid?
It's as Hammond commented. Huh. It's like, with everyone here, only the lawyer agrees with me.
Well, it figures the lawyer would be the one to agree with him.
Yeah.
Because
the scientists, the paleontologists,
are all going, oh, no, this isn't good.
Ellie's like hee-hawing.
But you have the mathematician and the paleontologist going, because remember, she's an assistant. But you have the main paleontologist and Ian going, uh-oh. Because in the novel, she's an assistant. So in the movie, she seems to be... Yes, I know she's also a paleobotanist, which... No, she's the main one for that field. But as a paleontologist, she's a assistant to Alan Grant. She's still a freaking qualified woman, like with at least 1 PhD, and was working on like her second one or something. Like, hey, no, kudos to the lady. She's a serious badass.
Mm-hmm.
And very well acted. But like the main 2 experts there are going, nope, not a good idea. Nope. And the response is, how about the tour? This is not going to end well. Well, I'm going to put my kids on the tour. Oh. And you actually see on their faces in the scene when they see the kids, they're like, oh. They almost look like they're going to F-bomb because they realize how stupid this is.
Because you have both Ian and Alan
Basically going, oh, no. No.
You're putting your grandkids in danger? No.
Yeah, I almost, like, man. At some point, we're going to do a movie-to-book comparison, and we're going to rate the book separately. Then we're going to do a video at some point in, like, a year where we compare the two. That'll be next year or something in October, because this is serious horror stuff. I'm serious. Like, this is horror at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
It might sound weird, but I've seen various adaptations of the Frankenstein book in the movie, and various different interpretations and stories that were inspired by it. I kind of consider this a reimagining of sorts.
Yes.
But I kind of I really love Sean Bean's Frankenstein Chronicles, for example. Great character-driven piece. Great. It's perfect. And actually, we should review that for an October at some point. But this show, I almost consider better than most of those. It nails the spirit of Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Except it's a Scottish businessman who's a moron. A Scottish-American businessman who's a moron.
Yeah.
Rather than I think it's Swiss-German who's a moron.
I mean...
But let's rate this thing. 3.1 for me.
3.5.
Really love this movie, huh?
Yeah, and it brings up a lot of questions.
About modern morality and whatnot?
Some people never bother to ask themselves if they should, rather than if they could.
Well, you mean like they're too busy thinking about whether they could accomplish something. They never stop to ask themselves if they should.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. The other way didn't make much sense. Yeah, like I totally agree. And I even think that there's been that, like, we can see that kind of mindset's been brought into politics, business, and whatnot. But I'd even stretch it as far back to an extent. Like, you look at politically, like as far back as I think the 70s, where it was like people were too busy wondering whether or not they could maybe redeem certain totalitarian states by trading with them, that they never stopped to ask themselves what would happen if they did, or whether they should.
Butterfly effect.
Yeah, and we're now feeling the effects today. But anyways, this movie brings up a lot of questions like that. And I would say John Hammond and Dr. Wu totally violated nature. Or rape of the natural world, as it's put. Which is a very good point.
Due to stupidity.
And narcissism. Oh yeah, real quick. Who's your favorite character in the movie? For me, it'd be Ian Malcolm. Normally, my favorite character is the Sam Neill played character. But here I have to give it to Jeff Goldblum's Ian Malcolm.
I mean, I'm torn between Ian and Alan.
Yeah, they're both awesome. Anyways, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Oh, and in the novel, Alan wrestles and kills a raptor at short range with a needle.